Hi friends, welcome to this video. Today we're talking about a reformulation of my favorite powder that I have been mentioning for so many years, and the powder that actually became viral last year, and this is the iconic Givenchy Prisme Libre Loose powder. This powder became popular over the past year on TikTok for its properties to literally erase pores. It's a very good powder, one of the best loose powders that I have ever used. And here in Europe, it was popular for many years. I have discovered this powder first when I was in my late 20s, and I have been using it since. And this is my most repurchased powder. One of the main ingredients of this loose powder used to be talc. Now there is a lot of fear among the beauty community, and a lot of people even keep throwing away their makeup products if they see that they contain talc. So apparently the only solution for Givenchy was to reformulate this powder so that they can meet the customers' demand. And now the new powders, the new Givenchy Prisme Libre powders, replace the talc, and now it contains kaolin. Kaolin is basically clay. This is what you find in a lot of skincare products, in a lot of masks that are mainly targeting oily skin and that have purifying properties. And I have been testing the new Givenchy Prisme Libre powders, the reformulated one, for I think it's nearly 10 days now that I have been testing this powder. And they also added a new powder to their collection. I'm not sure if this is going to be permanent or if this is a limited edition, but it's called Blanc Divin and it's part of their brightening collection. I'm going to talk about this powder as well. This one contains talc. If you have been following my YouTube channel for years, since the very beginning, this was my favorite powder, and I have been mentioning and using this powder so many times. When it was not popular in the US until last year when it became viral on TikTok. So these powders always come with its own pouch, with its own puff, which is very comfortable, and you can apply the powder with the puff, but I usually like to apply this powder in particular with a damp beauty blender, with a damp sponge, the kind of beauty blender sponge. And when you squeeze out the water in a towel, and if you apply this powder with a sponge, this was one of the tricks that I have been mentioning on my YouTube channel. If you apply this powder with a damp sponge, it is literally going to erase pores and make the skin completely poreless, almost like photoshopped. And it doesn't crease during the day. You can reapply it if you have to. And it works for all skin types, but it was mostly very suitable for people who have combination skin, especially in the summer months, who suffer with oily skin, or if you have dilated pores. This is an irreplaceable powder. Well, used to be the old one. There are 5 or 6 shades available. The 2 colors that I always repurchase are Mousseline Pastel and Satin Blanc. These 2 are my favorites. I also like number 3, which is the rosy one. Now, depending on the color that you choose, Mousseline Pastel is the one of the powders that is completely matte. Then Satin Blanc has a little bit of one of the powders is slightly luminous, which is absolutely not visible on the face. And then number 3, the rosy powder, is slightly luminous. It does have a slight luminosity, which is not really that visible on the face. So these are the 3 colors that I have been using constantly over the years and that I have experience with. Now, from the new powders, I decided to get a mini powder, a mini size powder, because I didn't know how it's going to work. Plus, I was thinking that if it works nice, I want to get more colors. And this one is really handy, especially for the summer months, because you can easily put this one in your handbag. I just wanted to show you how they compare. So this is the regular size powder. The old ones used to come with a matte lid, and the new ones have a shiny lid. It's basically the same, but with the shiny lid. And this is how they compare. It's very convenient because even the small powder has its own cute little puff inside, and it's very easy to just put this one in your handbag. It's not heavy, it's very light, so it's very easy to touch up on the go. Now, I have been testing the new powder over the past 10 days, and I have to say that immediately after I opened it, I noticed that it does have a little bit more coverage compared to the old powders, but nothing major really. Keep in mind that I'm a person who is using these powders and repurchasing them for the past 10 years. So even the slightest, even the minor changes, I can see them, I can notice them, because this is my most used powder of all times. And now when I swatch it on my finger, I feel it just to be a little bit heavier compared to, and a little bit more substantial compared to the old Prisme Libre powder. But this is not really a major issue. When I apply it to my skin, I would say that it looks the same as the old ones, almost, with the exception that it has a tiny bit more coverage, which a lot of people are not even going to notice. But the biggest change that a lot of people are going to notice probably is those of you who have dry skin or dehydrated skin. Right now, this powder, I have normal to combination skin, and right now it's almost the summer months and my skin is quickly getting oilier. And I can tell you that this powder, the new one, definitely feels very drying on my skin if I want to apply a good amount in a way that my skin is going to look airbrushed. So if I apply this one with a brush, just a light layer, I don't notice that big of a difference. But if I start applying it with my damp sponge in a way that I like to apply it, so that it can completely erase my pores and give me this absolutely beautiful poreless airbrushed effect, I feel that it just feels dry on my skin. It feels drying on my skin, and this is due to the Kaolin, which is clay, and clay it has this kind of properties. It does absorb oil, and a lot of you have probably seen that in a lot of the face masks, purifying face masks, they contain clay, and also a lot of the masks that are for oily skin, blemish prone skin, they contain clay. So it's normal that this one, the new one, is going to be more drying. I think that they did a nice reformulation. Overall, it is a successful reformulation, but with the exception that it does feel drying now. So if I had to pick, I would absolutely choose the old one. Now, I want to warn everyone who is based in Europe, this powder is being removed from all of the retailers. So if you're based in Europe, mostly you're going to find the new powder now. The difference, and the main difference, how you can see, is that, let me show you the lid. So this is the lid of the old one. It easily gets dirty because it is matte. And then this is the lid of the new powder. So if you're based in Europe and if you want to get your hands on the old one, be quick. I think that soon this new powder is going to arrive in the US as well, and it's going to replace the old one. So I would absolutely choose the old one over the new one. The new one is, I'm still going to use them. I still like it, but I wouldn't buy another one. And maybe I would start repurchasing them less often. I'm not even sure if I'm going to repurchase this powder again, just because it does not give me the same airbrushed effect. Does feel a little bit drying on my skin. And then Givenchy also released a new powder. This one is brand new. I'm not sure if it's going to be available worldwide. For sure, I'm going to post links in the description box. For now, I purchased this one directly from Givenchy's website, and this is part of their brightening collection. As a lot of you probably know, they also started to make skincare lines, different skincare lines, and this one is called Blanc Divin. It's not completely flat matte. This one has luminous finish, and it's very similar to Satin Blanc of the old powders. The color is very similar to Satin Blanc. It is absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. This one contains talc and it has the same quality as the old ones. Still, my number one Givenchy Prisme Libre powder remains the old one, the old Mousseline Pastel, because for me personally, this one is the most blurring. So if I want to have this absolutely poreless, flawless skin, I use Mousseline Pastel because it's a completely matte powder. This one is the best for my skin tone and for my needs. And then Satin Blanc was my second favorite. And this one is very similar to Satin Blanc. This one just has satin finish. It's not completely matte like Mousseline Pastel. These powders look scary white, but you can probably see on the demo that they don't make my skin whiter, they don't make my skin pale, and they don't have a white cast. My personal advice is restock the old powder. The new ones, the new powders are not as good, and if you can get your hands on Blanc Divin, I think that this one is beautiful. It is just like the old powders. It has the quality of the old powders, just that it's a little bit more satin finish, which can be seen under certain lighting, mostly in the sunshine, but essentially it just gives a little bit of a satin look, a little bit of a satin finish on the skin, not completely, absolutely matte. It's a beautiful product that Givenchy created, and I really hope that they're going to make this powder permanent because it contains talc, it's the old formulation, and it has the old outstanding performance. So I hope that they're going to keep this as part of their skincare line, skincare and makeup line, as part of their Blanc Divin line. I hope this is going to be permanent, but I still don't have information about that. Now, one last thing that I wanted to share about the new formula of the powders. I just feel like it does not perform during the day. It just does not perform as good as the old powders, in a sense that after applying it, my skin definitely feels a little bit tight, a little bit dry, and somehow I think that it almost makes my skin to not look like, it's just, let's say, it's just not as good as the old one, but that's my personal opinion. If you start applying this one with a brush and you apply just a light layer, maybe you're not going to notice the difference. But for me, I'm using these powders for the past 10 years and I definitely see the difference. This one is not my favorite anymore. So let me know what you think. I think that a lot of the reformulations that remove the talc are not as successful in terms of performance. A lot of the makeup products that have been reformulated in order to remove the talc just are currently not as successful as the old products. For me personally, I know that from a business point of view, this was a justified decision for Givenchy because I know that right now, nowadays, a lot of people stay away from talc and they are just scared. They are terrified when they see a product with talc. My opinion, I'm not terrified of using talc. I'm not scared when it's a brand with traditions that I know of. And when it's a brand like Givenchy, well, the regulations in France are so strict that I don't feel scared to actually use beauty products and makeup products that are not labeled as clean, because a lot of the clean beauty that I have used caused irritation on my skin. They are with some ingredients that go bad very quickly. So for now, the whole beauty industry is changing. Let me know what are your thoughts. For me personally, I don't feel afraid to use this new powder, the Blanc Divin, that contains talc. I hope that Givenchy are going to keep it actually. If it's a company like Givenchy, these products are made in, I believe, in France. Let me go ahead and see. Yes, in France. And in France, the regulations are so strict that I trust the French government and I trust the French regulations. So I'm not afraid to use products that contain talc from brands that I know that have history. Of course, I'm not using products from new brands that I don't know, that don't have a lot of history, from celebrities brands. These are the kind of products that I'm cautious and I don't want to try, and I'm afraid to try sometimes because they don't have the same traditions. I'm not sure of their regulations and how their products are regulated. So this was my review on the new reformulated Givenchy Prisme Libre powders. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you've tried the new reformulated powders, how they work for you. It's going to be a nice discussion if you share your thoughts. I always feel open to discussions and I always feel excited to hear what you think about new makeup products. Thank you so much for spending time with me, and until next time, bye.